Welcome to Champion Reviews. I'm Joe. Here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
In Venom Part 2, or I should say Carnage, we've got Carnage wrecking the city, grabbing life force from people, only to end up maxed out on life forces that he could steal from people, murdering a bunch of folks. And with Mordo actually looking pretty horrified by him, because, well, when you make Dormammu look like a cupcake, that's scary. On the other hand, you have Peter taking photos, Tony and Jonah arguing about War Machine, Kafka, sorry, I called her Kaufman last time, who really cares? The idiot and worst psychologist or psychiatrist in superhero fiction, who only thinks about boinking her patients, it seems. And honestly, when you make Harley look like a runaway success as a psychiatrist,
And
you have a problem.
And she wants to impose herself on a conversation between the idiot who wanted to create a transdimensional transporter and a yellow journalist.
Yeah. You know, when you have Tony in this situation and Jonah, and you somehow look like the idiot in the room, you know you've screwed up somewhere in life to reach that point. That said, Jonah makes a few good points. She tries to say, well, they're just ill. Yeah, Jonah, you make them sound like they have the flu. When, how do I put it? They're insane and evil. They want to kill and eat people.
You're not dealing with the correct patient and calling them ill.
Yeah, because, one of them's a serial murderer and serial rapist. The other, Eddie Brock, is a serial cannibal and serial murderer. So, you have two serial killers.
One of them nearly blew a good chunk of New York.
And your logic is, well, I'm sure if I talk nicely enough, they'll come around. I'm sorry, but I was hoping she'd die in this episode.
Yeah.
But she doesn't, and they focus half the episode on just her failed romance with Venom, and nobody really cares. And trying to redeem Venom to a limited extent. I never liked that plot point. He eats people!
I'd rather have the story be about Iron Man.
Now, the Iron Man and Spider-Man stuff is solid.
Yeah.
The action stuff is actually pretty solid.
Oh, yeah. Nice action scenes.
Now, the strong points are how Eddie goes to do his usual thing of stalking and tormenting Peter. Aunt May is, well, a bimbo, so she, of course, welcomes him and tries to welcome him into the home. But this is where MJ proves herself to be the ultimate hero of the story. And you know what? The writing for MJ has gotten way better than in, season 2, I think. And MJ ends up telling Brock, no, you're no friend of Peter. Because Aunt May tries to say, oh, come on in. Peter's at this certain location at the Stark building still. And MJ says, no, he's not staying. And go back inside to Aunt May. Get back in the kitchen, woman, where you belong. Get Gail some sandwiches. And go off, essentially. Not quite, but MJ basically tells her off and says, no, he's not a friend. Get lost. And then turns to Eddie and says, you're no friend of Peter's. And I know you have ill intent. I remember the last time, and Peter told me you're not his friend and you're scum. And you have a criminal record. And she does reference that. You have a criminal record. So anything you want to do to Peter, it's not good. You're going to have to get to him through me. And and of course Eddie goes, never the lovers. And then MJ realizes, wait, Peter loves me? In shock, which, yeah, honey, everybody freaking knew.
You even went on dates with him.
But she was convinced because probably in this universe, she was convinced because he always ran off that he didn't love her. But on the other hand, she's been deliberately ignoring the fact, I think, because, well, to acknowledge it means you can't run away and you need to make a commitment. And commitments are scary for young people. No, I'll concede with the writing there. I'll actually say, okay, sure. Hey, I could rationalize and even like the romance of Peter and MJ here. The Kafka and Eddie romance. Ugh, cringe. The problem with trying to redeem Venom is that he's such a good villain. No, this is such a great villain for Spider-Man. And there are no stories you can write with this as a hero because he eats people and he kills people indiscriminately.
Mm-hmm.
And to try and redeem him is the act of subversion, and it's not good. It's never good. And the thing is, you are taking the worst vices that Spider-Man once held and trying to glorify them, and you can't. This is wrong for us to try and do that in society because superheroes are essentially the modern day Brothers Grimm stories. And to try and glorify murder and cannibalism, well, I don't know, and irresponsibility. I don't know. That seems kind of wrong. I don't know about you, but it kind of seems evil to me.
Yeah.
And the thing is with Venom is that he exemplifies the worst in society, and Spider-Man has to try and conquer that. But it's also an inward conquest because Spider-Man has to defeat those vices in himself and has to try and outfox the enemy. So that when you have Venom or Carnage, Spider-Man really has to think on his toes to defeat them. But of course, that means the writer actually has to be good. And there's not many good comic book writers post-97 over at Marvel. I'm just saying. And that's where I just think this episode was a letdown, given everything that was being built up in the previous episode.
Yeah.
And it gave up great action and character development in favor of bad romance and the wrong characters. Because the characters we don't want to see romanced are Eddie and Kafka. The characters we do want to see together are Peter and MJ. Focus on Peter, MJ, and Iron Man in that order, and you'd have had a rock-solid episode. Mm-hmm. But no. What I do like the reference of is that a lot of Iron Man's enemies are supernatural threats. And, that's interesting. Because it's the man of science versus myth. Mm-hmm. And where, like, Dr. Cyber versus Diana represents the evils of science versus the good of myth and the best of humanity. Here, it's the best of science versus horror and the evils of magic and whatnot. Essentially, Iron Man fights horror monsters. And that's the idea.
At least in here, Iron Man learned that the entire
dimension thing, yeah, you're playing God, and that's a bad idea.
Where he decides to destroy the machine. It's like, hey.
Oops.
Yeah. And you know what? Spider-Man got rid of two villains and a bimbo.
Yeah. No, wait, Kafka's alive. She comes back in a later episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sadly. You're hoping that when she survived, it's like she's gone. She's out. She's written out. Never to come back. Actually, they bring her back later.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah. You just wanted to suppress the memory of her coming back, didn't you?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say, wouldn't you, but...
I mean...
Memory deleted.
Sorry, what? You?
Sorry, what? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But on the positive, let's try to focus on the positive, because we focus enough on negative. On the positive side, we got to see Iron Man, one of my favorite heroes. We got to see War Machine in the previous episode. We got to see MJ being great. I love it when MJ's on point. And John Semper Jr. finally gets her. No, like, the first season he did kind of get her at a few points. He did. The second season, it was shaky. Third season, he's really righted the boat. So overall, we can say MJ's not that bad in this series. Mm-hmm. I am so glad we can say that. And Peter is, of course, always on point. Madam Web's awesome. I love Madam Web. Mm-hmm. And finally, somebody tells Aunt May, get out, go back to the kitchen. Like, you have no place making adult decisions. And it's MJ who says that. Thank heavens, I love MJ.
You have someone accusing Jonah of being a yellow journalist.
I love it.
Tommy had a great line there.
Yeah, but that said, it's still scary how Venom ends up saying, I'm going to eat you to Jonah. That was a scary horror moment.
Yeah.
And given how he was drooling over Jonah and his tongue was sticking out, yeah, he totally meant it. Yeah. That's the thing that I find, like, hey, all respect to a lot of people whom we know and love Venom, but guys, he's a cannibal!
He's not. He's loony. He's certified out to lunch.
And you guys want to romanticize him. No. He is evil, and so is the symbiote. She is evil. So, like, you can't have Agent Venom. That doesn't make sense. That contradicts the characters. the characters, because it's technically Eddie and Venom. And you know what? This is a great villain for Spider-Man to fight. And I'll actually say this. You want a heroic Venom. What do you have against Spider-Man? What do you have against him?
In every universe, Venom has been shown the villain. There is not one that showed him that he was a hero.
He always eventually descends into eating and murdering people. And that's the thing. He's pure freaking evil. To try and subvert and say we want him instead of Spider-Man. Oh, so you have something against Spider-Man. It's because it's the same sort of people who hate Superman or hate Batman or like, oh, I want Punisher, I want Jigsaw, I want these grim, dark, cannibalistic anti-heroes who will flay, murder, eat, rape, and whatnot to people. And you know what? You just want your grim, dark nonsense. And guess what? That's subpar trash. There's nothing good in that kind of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's believed by those people who write those kind of stories that there is nothing good about humanity. There is nothing good about the world. Well, guess what? There is. So deal with it, honey. And next time you want to cry into your tea or coffee or beer, please don't twist a good hero like Spider-Man and his stories to suit your pathetic agendas. They're really meaningless. And I know this ended up with slightly sanctimonious, and I do apologize for that, but, the thing is, this is really getting annoying. I apologize only to those who actually who can realize on some level that, and will realize eventually that the subversion crap with Venom is bullshit. Venom is a terrible hero, but a great villain. And, well, you'll realize that eventually. Eventually, you'll hit 18 to 25 years old, and you'll grow out of this grimdark, anti-heroic, super villainous nonsense. And you know what? Who makes a great anti-hero? Batman. No jokes. Batman's a great anti-hero. Go to him, not Venom. And if you want an anti-heroic character from Marvel, you do have them, because you have Wolverine, you have Gambit. I mean, those are great anti-heroes over at Marvel. So, guys, you know what? I'll withdraw my previous apology. Because screw anyone who romanticizes Venom. Screw them. There's nothing worthwhile in a heroic Venom. Venom operates best as a villain.
How would you rate the episode?
2.
2.25.
Yeah, the MJ, Tony, and Spider-Man stuff really saved it. As does the Jonah stuff.
And Mordo.
And Madam Web.
And Carnage.
Yeah, I love Carnage. And Terry Lee being cool, as always. So, yeah. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We really want to get to 1,000, so help us get up there by sharing the video and the channel. Do the works. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers in order to publish the first chapter of a dark fantasy horror book we've been working on for a little bit. And, well, we'll publish that first chapter as soon as we're at 1,000 subs. So, toodles!